So we've come to the final entry in the Nicktoons Crossover series. Nicktoons Globs of Doom. Oh wait, I'm sorry, SpongeBob SquarePants featuring the Nicktoons Globs of Doom. I guess they thought it would sell more if SpongeBob's name was in the title this time, which, I mean, in other places of the world, the series is known as SpongeBob and Friends. While THQ is once again the publisher, Blue Tongue did not return for this game, and instead it's developed by a different studio, Incinerator Studios. I couldn't really find much about this studio. The only thing they're really known for are they did some of the Cars games, but that's kinda it.
SquarePants.
Glad it missed me that time.
Globs of Doom. Also available Drawn to Life SpongeBob SquarePants Edition. Rated E for everyone. Gaming system sold separately.
Oh, tartar sauce.
I actually remember seeing the commercial for this game and getting it brand new from a Best Buy. I loved the previous games, and the premise for this one looked really cool. An alien invasion that tries to take over different Nicktoon worlds, and the heroes have to team up with the villains to stop them? That sounds awesome! Globs of Doom released in 2008 for the PlayStation 2, Wii, and DS. Yeah, no GBA version this time. One thing though that kind of perplexes me is that none of the Nicktoons crossover games were ever on Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3. I get those systems are aimed at a much older audience, and most people either had a Wii and PS2, but if Nickelodeon can put an Avatar game and a SpongeBob game on the 360, I don't see what the issue is putting at least one of the Nicktoons games on there. Once more, just sticking to the console versions, but this time we're just going to be sticking to the Wii version. I've never actually played or owned the PS2 version, so I can't say anything if there's any differences between it and this version. And with that, let's begin. So what is our story this time? One day in Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob is just minding his own business when suddenly giant orange creatures start falling from the sky and taking over the inhabitants of Bikini Bottom. Suddenly, What happened to Jimmy? Why does he look like that? Okay, yeah, so the Nicktoons got some redesigns, and some look fine, like SpongeBob and Danny look alright. But some of them, like Zim, Dib, Tack, and Jimmy, look kinda terrible, honestly. Like, Jimmy's design in the previous games weren't great, but at least I can see that's Jimmy Neutron. But this design does not give me the impression that it's Jimmy. He looks more like a bootleg of Jimmy Neutron. Oh yeah, I'm discussing a story. Let's get back to that. So, Jimmy brings SpongeBob and Patrick to Volcano Island where they meet up with the other Nicktoons as well as the Syndicate. The Nicktoons must work together with the Syndicate to stop these creatures called Morphoids and their leader Globius Maximus by finding pieces hidden around the Nicktoons worlds to build this giant robot. After building the robot, they head into space, shoot Globius Maximus in the face a few times, and then the Syndicate betray the heroes. And the whole reason for Globius Maximus attacking the world was that he hated his appearance and took it out on the Nicktoons worlds. Okay. SpongeBob convinces him to accept himself, and so he becomes SpongeGlob. SpongeGlob beats up the Syndicate and stops their plans to use him, and returns the Nicktoons to Earth. Or, if you're playing as the Syndicate for the final boss, they instead capture SpongeGlob and actually win. Okay, not gonna lie, this is actually pretty cool that there's an alternate ending to this. And yeah, that's the story. Definitely the strangest and weirdest story of the 4 games. I will say though that this story is a lot funnier than Toybots was, and I laughed a lot more this time around.
Juju powers are telling me something.
That you're not wearing a shirt?
What is that?
Sorry, sometimes I scare easily, okay?
I also think the character interactions are much better this time. I really enjoyed seeing the good guys and bad guys interacting and playing off each other. It's really fun. I also love the inclusion of Zim and Dib in this game. It's not some reference or whatever it was in the last 2 games. Nah, he's here in his full glory, even if his model looks kinda dumb. I do have some problems with this story though. For one, why would the wise old crab not tell the Nicktoons first about the robot? If he did, they would have never needed to go to Bikini Bottom, because really looking at it, if you cut Bikini Bottom out, nothing would have been lost. And also story-wise, Bikini Bottom doesn't really make a lot of sense. So once they arrive at Bikini Bottom, they have to stop Bubble Bass from destroying the Krusty Krab. Alright. Then they enter the Chum Bucket for some reason, but the next cutscene after this level, Plankton says we have to get to the Chum Bucket. But wait, we were literally already there. And secondly, I thought we were going after Bubble Bass. Why did you wait until it was nighttime for the second level and not go after him? What?
I don't get it.
It's so crazy that the world that the character that's in the title of the game is from has the least story relevance and is so confusing. Why? Retrovale also has a similar problem to this. Like, they enter Retrovale and go into Retroland, and they see the giant plant monster. So okay, they're about to fight it. But when it starts, they don't fight it and it's just magically gone? It was literally right there. What happened? Did the plant just magically teleport to Retroville Mall? What happened? So yeah, as you can see, the levels and cutscenes just do not mesh well at all. I also think the whole Globlius Maximus motivation / twist was kind of weak and kind of out of left field. Like, I get the message they were going for, but it just comes out of nowhere and it isn't hinted at all throughout the entire game. And lastly, where's Timmy at? He's just completely absent in the game. He's one of the original 4 Nicktoons. Why would they not include him this time around? It's especially ironic since Fairly OddParents actually came back from a hiatus around the time this game came out. And with the exception of SpongeBob, basically all the shows featured in this game were either long since cancelled or were very close to cancellation. So I really don't get why they wouldn't just include him in the game. At least in Volcano Island, Jimmy was kinda there. But yeah, in all honesty, it's a fun enough story. I actually kind of like it more than Toybot's story, but I still think the first 2 games have the better story. Presentation wise, I think it's better and also kind of worse than the last game. The graphics and environments do look a lot nicer and more colorful. The voice acting is as great as always, though sadly the wise old crab isn't voiced by Hop Hop this time.
Say what?
But like I said before, some of the designs look way worse than they did before. And is it just me, or is the animation a lot stiffer than before? Like, take a look at this scene from Toybots. Animates pretty smoothly, I'd say. Now look at Clobs of Doom. I don't know, man. It feels like the animation just got a lot worse than Toybots. It's better than Unite's animation, though. I'll give it that. I do also enjoy the soundtrack. It's not as good as Toybots, but we get some pretty epic music in here. So presentation wise, it's still decent, but definitely some downgrades compared to the last game. So gameplay is kind of a mix between all 3 games. You have the combat of Unite, the more open levels like Volcano Island, and the platforming like Toybots. You can do basically everything you can in the previous games, and you could do these special team attacks too. Though I didn't really use them that much. You have a grand total of 10 playable characters this time, 5 heroes and 5 villains. For the heroes side, we get SpongeBob, Danny, Jimmy, and Tack returning from the last game. But as I mentioned before, we also get Zim. For the villain side, we get Plankton, Dib, Technus, Beautiful Gorgeous, and Treylock. Personally, I kinda wish they still instead used the original 3 Syndicate members too from Unite. It would have been a little bit cooler in my opinion. There are a total of 5 worlds in this game, with about 2 levels in each of them and a boss fight. Though Tack's World for some reason doesn't have a boss. Each level you platform, beat up some morph boards, and save any inhabitants that are trapped in the goo. The slide levels also kind of return. Before every level you get to slide down and collect coins, which while I prefer the ones in Toybots, these are still pretty fun for what they are. Let me just say, I love the references in each world. I actually feel like I'm in the actual worlds from the shows, and I love seeing some of these iconic locations be destroyed or taken over. It's really cool. I do also love the designs of the Morphoids. They look really cool, and they are probably my favorite original enemies in the entire Nicktoons Crossover Saga. I also think the bosses are great. They are definitely the best bosses in the series, and I love how each of them are corrupted characters from each Nicktoon. It's really cool. I love this idea. I love the ideas this game has. This should be the best one. So why doesn't it work? Well, I could sum it up in one word.
Boring!
Globs of Doom has gotta be one of the most boring games I've ever played. While it's functional and I love seeing the worlds, actually playing through the levels is so boring and monotonous. The combat feels so basic and the game is way too easy this time. While I love the ideas and I like how each level looks, the actual level design feels so samey after a while. You'll get tired of jumping over the same platforms over and over and over again. Like honestly, I confused a level from Retroville with a level from Amity Park. That's how uninteresting and bland these levels really are. The coins return from Unite, and like in that game, you could use them for upgrades, which also come back from Unite. But because of how easy this game is, the upgrades only make this game even easier. While this game isn't as unstable as like the PS2 version of Toybots, I did find this glitch happen a few times where my character would just randomly slide around for some reason. There's also this weird save corruption glitch that can occur, at least on the Wii version. I'm not sure if the PS2 version has this issue too, but I do know this is a common bug that's happened to a lot of people, including me. So if you're ever thinking of getting this game, keep that in mind. Oh, and the predetermined characters for each level is back from Volcano Island, and it's even worse than before. I didn't like it in Volcano Island, but at very least there was only 6 characters, and most of them got a good chunk of levels to be playable, with the exception of Timmy, of course. Globs of Doom, some characters only get like 2 levels, and some you don't even get to play until like halfway through the game. You don't get to play as Danny until Amity Park, which is halfway through the game, and even then, you only play as him twice. Meanwhile, you play as SpongeBob at least 5 times in almost every world. Why can't I play as any character in any level? They all basically play the same, and with the idea of the heroes teaming up with the villains, wouldn't you think it would have been awesome to play as the respective hero and villain in any level you'd want? Like, wouldn't you want to play as Danny and Technus in one level, or Zim and Dib in one level? This is just dumb that they would still do this, especially since Toybots got rid of this. So what happened here? Honestly, there just isn't a lot else to this game. You can collect trophies, which I guess is cool, but no bonus stages, no costumes, no unlockable characters, just nothing. This game bored me so much that by the time I got to Pupu Nunu Village, I was literally just walking past everything because I just wanted the game to end. So yeah, you can guess that I did not enjoy this game very much. I like the story for the most part, the game looks decent, the bosses are fun, and I absolutely love the ideas this game has. But the gameplay is boring, the predetermined character issue is even worse, the level design is so bland, it has a potentially really bad save glitch, and it's just overall a very disappointing end to the series. How would a game about the heroes and villains teaming up to defend against an alien invasion be this boring and forgettable? And if you're wondering, this is definitely my least favorite console Nicktoon game. Yeah, even worse than Unite. At least with Unite, while it's so slow, at least with co-op it's a lot more fun and more bearable. But even with 2 players in Globs of Doom, it's just a bore from the start to the end. It's not the worst game ever made or anything like that. It's not even really that bad of a game if you really look at it. And plus, there are far worse Nickelodeon games out there. But I didn't really have a good time with this one. And it's a real shame. I think what they had with Volcano Island and Toybots was really solid, and we could have had a real gem of a game if the mechanics were fleshed out even more with a sequel, but Globs of Doom just fails at being that. But if you think this game looks fun, then by all means give it a shot. It doesn't go for very much, though be cautious about that save glitch. So after this would be the final entry in the series. After that, it would either be a sports game, kart racer, or just a mobile game. However, we aren't quite done with this marathon, because next time will be a big one. Next time, we'll be looking at all the handheld versions in one video. Yes, all of them. Please help me. Have an amazing day, everyone, and take care. Bye!